Alrighty, we are recording. So, I'm back from summer break. Hope everybody is well, but who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck if you're well? No, but whatever. See, that's the shit. I that seems like I'm being fucked up, and I don't care. I don't have compassion for people. But the point in all that is that it's like all those pleasantries. That's human shit. Pleasantries. I mean, I guess it's you should say hello to people and good day. How are you, madam, sir? Blah blah blah. But it's like those are just things we've been trained to do, right? If we're on a spiritual and occult path, do they have any of that? Like, is that just a human thing? Probably. Because it's just, I don't know, it's all smoke and mirrors. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever say hi to somebody that you didn't want to say hi to? Yeah. What's that about? So, and all that's the point of this discussion. Mind control and feeling control. Get that shit together. 2022. Sponsored by Occult Nachos. Sponsored by fruit. Because that's all I've been eating for 5 days. I'm doing like this fruit feast challenge. Very interesting. My body's healing itself. I'm a fan. And, compared to regular fasting, where it's like you can't eat shit, at least you can eat fruit. So, I'm with it. And, looking to heal my body, lose some weight, be sexier. That's what it's all about, folks. It's not what it's all about, but in that realm, in that layer of my experience happening in this body, it's on the horizon, or it's happening right now. So, anyways, mind control and feeling control. So, let's talk about mind control, and that's why it's a good place to start. Where it's like, I bring it back to often. Is there a cosmic law about saying hi to people? Not that I know of. I mean, what's up with that? And look at my cool turban. I've been rocking these. No one cared. Yeah, like, where did that come from? Did someone channel that once? Oh, yeah, y'all niggas need to fucking... y'all say hi to y'all niggas? Oh, man, y'all fucked up down there. Okay, I'm going to give y'all this channel. This one's for free. Okay? Zeblar up here, you know what I'm saying? We talked about it, and we're like, yo, these niggas need to know that they need to start doing pleasantries in the morning to people. Yeah, that needs to start happening. So, I just call all things into question. There's nothing you shouldn't call into question. Your friends, your family, yourself, first and foremost. Gotta call yourself into question. The government, corporations. Niggas be talking shit all the time. That's why I heard Louis C.K. on Joe Rogan, where he was talking about Twitter, about like how people used to talk shit. You know what I'm saying? And be like, oh, fuck that guy, right? But they're just saying it. And then like once it got to like Twitter, and it was just like text, people were like, oh shit, this is serious. This is serious. Whoa, this is like archived and logged. Like this talking shit. Like, yo, we gotta take this shit talking more serious than normal verbal shit talking. So, it kind of creates a whole thing where, yeah, talking shit is just taken too literal. It's just talking shit. You know what I'm saying? I've talked a lot of shit in my life. How much do I, like, really stand behind it? Probably minimal. You know what I'm saying? I recognize that's like, this is my perspective on this person, this situation, this occurrence, right? But I feel I've studied a lot. I've experimented a lot in this life. And I'm still going, folks. And so, I have a lot of things to draw on, right? And my intuition to draw in terms of like, this kind of seems like this. And like, this reminds me of this experiment I did in '02 where I was dating this girl and it got wild. And, yeah, she was doing similar things. So just unpacking all that mind control and programming is vital to one's path, and just calling into question oneself. Again, first and foremost, you nigga, you right now watching this fucking video, I'm talking to you. And this applies to me 9,000%, but, calling into, just, and that's a fine line, folks. Because here's the fun thing that our ego will do. Ooh, you're doing some deep work. Well, it's like, we're gonna co-opt this for our own survival, and it turns into a whole thing of, I don't know. It could be like, yeah, nigga, this is your ego. Yeah, nigga, you aren't shit. Yeah, you think you're a good person, you're a piece of shit. But think about that. Would your highest version of yourself talk like that, think like that, express like that? No. Even if it was, however you want to think about your highest version of yourself, whether it's your future self, whether it's a guide from outside of you, however you want to fucking put it all together. That aspect, let's just say, of divinity, right, that's connected to you, however you want to, or inside of you, whatever the fuck. Listen, the occult and spiritual teachers that have really made an impact in terms of my understanding of this whole shit have really driven home many points, but this one point that I'm thinking about in this moment. And that point is, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, just down to like, what? When I cut my waffles, I stand them up vertically and I cut them like that. Like, get it? Yes. I've never heard of that before. But that sounds fascinating. And if that's the way you get down like that. Don't be like, oh no, I feel self-conscious about how I cut my waffles. No, that's just like, nigga, do you think fucking Picasso is like, oh, I'm concerned about other painters out there? Maybe. Kind of, sure, but probably not as like a thing, because that's paralyzing. That becomes very paralyzing. And if you're always on some shit where you lose your train of thought, I don't remember where I was going with that, but I know the main thing we're talking about, which is mind control and feeling control. Let's see if we could rewind. We're talking about talking shit. I know that. Calling yourself into question, right? Calling yourself into question, and okay, not letting it be part of ego's game. Yeah, I really think eating fruit. I just feel like I don't know even if I was eating other shit, if I would have been able to come back to that lost thought. But before it leaves again, let's continue. So calling into question yourself, don't let it become part of spiritual materialism, which is a term from Chogyam Trungpa, and where it becomes another ego game that you play on yourself, where it's like, yo, bro, you are mad spiritual, yo, man, you're out here, you're super spiritual, right? Like in terms of aesthetics, in terms of, I don't know, adorned behavior, is a kind of a word, where it's like what you drape yourself in terms of how you want people to perceive yourself, versus, it's like I call it wearing the word clothes but not having the work experience. And that's what I feel is a huge undercurrent of people where, there's a lot of people who maybe like outwardly, you look at them, what they're wearing, they're like, oh, this nigga, I don't know what's going on with them. But that nigga who might just be wearing some trashy clothes or whatever might be extremely advanced in their spiritual development. They just choose to wear those clothes. They're like, whatever. This shit's all fucking holograph. Like, I'm gonna wear a fucking suit. You know what I'm saying? So why, and there's also, someone who is dressed or looks a certain way, and kind of their aesthetic, how we usually archetype someone's aesthetic, let's just say a bum aesthetic, they have a bum consciousness, just put it plain and simple, folks. They have a bum consciousness in addition to their bum aesthetic, whatever, not necessarily just bums, but just that sort of thing, right? Someone who dress like a stripper cannot have a stripper consciousness, but it's just, this is how they choose to adorn themselves. This is how they choose to express themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the issue. Here's the issue that I'm learning. More than I learn about myself and what I tracked in my life is that there is a certain class where it's like adorning yourself very spiritually in terms of all the things that you're interested in and doing, and aesthetically how you present yourself, but not having the work experience. And it's not about having the work experience, it's about putting in the work experience, right? Because that's how you get work experience. You got to work, especially on the spiritual and occult path. When and this is getting to mind control. I'm just laying this out, folks. So if I meet someone and every time I talk to them, they are repeating and regurgitating and ruminating, is the word I used when I worked in special ed, ruminating on something that's happened repeatedly and nonstop, there's not much I can do with that, honestly, because that is such a human issue. That is such a human cycle, right? Of ruminating on something and keep bringing it up and keep putting salt on your own room and keep making it worse and worse in your mind and taking up all this energy and resources and time and thoughts and, feeling just all about this thing that you're just creating bigger and bigger in your mind, right? And then it's like in the other way, it's like you're calling on this thing in your mind. You know what I'm saying? You're channeling whatever it is, sorrow, depression, shame. And these are all the things we got to get over because we all have to deal with our level of sorrow, depression, shame, anger, deceit, dishonor, disloyalty, whatever the fuck, like all this sort of shit we have to become aware of how it embodies in our existence and all the experiences we had and, how we feel about it now and do the requisite work. Like I've recently done a whole thing where it's like I let go of, I realize how guilty I feel about like mad shit in my life. Some minor, some majors, all shit in between, but like mad shit. Going back to childhood, I was like, oh, okay. Nah, we got to clear this out, right? So I did a ritual and like, man, that made me feel so good just doing that because, the more I reflected upon it, the more I realized how much fucking emotional guilt, constipation I had, and psychologically too. And it's like, you got to clear that shit out. So I did ritual. I like literally wrote all this shit on a piece of paper I felt guilty was as much as I could think of. Made a sigil, burned that shit, and, I would look back. Then when things come up now, I'm like, oh, yeah, no. Like, our guilt metabolism is, like, working fine. Like, we don't need to, like, not that, like, if I feel like I've wronged or erred in a way, I'm like, whatever, but it's like I'm not going to look at it as I'm feeling guilty, right? I can look at it a different way. I sort of look at it now with just trying to put my whole life in context of the experiment. I'm the scientist, I'm an experimenter. The number one experimenter is me, right? It's my body, my consciousness, my heart. That's the number one experiment that I'm studying, finding out more insights, more developments, more fascinating revelations on that. Then tangential to that experiment is it's how I interact with the world, and that the experiments from that, and people's relationships is like, I'm just gonna do a whole thing about that, because over the past 10 years, I've really, and more recently, I have a whole thing about volatile mommies and men attracting volatile mommies, because I recognize that in my life. And shout out to Anne, because she asked me a question that really helped me connect the dot on that one. But that's a whole thing in itself. The volatile mommy and the pushover daddy. I'm going to do a video on that at some point. But that's a fresh one. That's something recently happened. I just a whole bunch of insights from that. So I'm gonna let that simmer and process for a little bit. But so the relationship experiments that we involve ourselves with, right, and the elements in that, right, and then all these different experiments. So always wanting to, see what's going on. See what's going on with the experiment that is me. That's first and foremost, because understanding that's how I can understand other people. At the end of the day, because it's like, in everyone's unique way, they have to reconcile and process and let go and detoxify from their human incarnation. Like last night, I was writing something about, okay, so we have the tree of life, we have Malkuth, which is here, earthly existence, physical body, the foundation, the roots, right? It's the bottom of the tree of life, right? But it's where we are currently in this reality, right? We're at Malkuth. We're in Malkuth, whatever you were saying. And so I was thinking about this, about like Malkuth. It's like the human experience just leads to toxification. And I would say mainly through wants and desires, because it's like when you have a body, you just like, ooh, senses? Oh shit, this shit is wild, right? What? I could touch things? Rain? I remember, I don't know, I think it was, what's that dude? Paul something, who does the guides. It'll come to me. But he asked him a question. Essentially, these are like channeled beings, right? He channels all these books, and he's like, "What do you miss about being a body?" Like one of the things they said was feeling rain on their skin, which I thought was like, that's a pretty cool answer, because rain on your skin does feel fucking amazing and really awesome when it happens. So, anywho, back to the regularly scheduled program. Malkuth is just inherently for what this place is. And this is important to understand, everybody. This place is a breeding ground for toxification. Okay? Which is what it is. Right? We need to understand this. We need to recognize this. Now, there's also beauty here. Sure. Of course. Right? It's a balance sort of thing. But the issue is the toxification is just so seamless and so fucking ingrained in this whole sort of experience that, it's very easy to accumulate a lot of mental, emotional, and physical toxification, right? Just, from the time you're born to, that whole span, right? You have to actively, this is what I mean about the work experience. Can't just be wearing a firefighter's outfit for the city you live in and not be working at the local fire department. You can, I guess, on Halloween, when it's okay to pretend. What is that about anyway? I don't know. When the spirits, didn't one harm them when they dressed up? Was that the thing? I don't know. Who knows? Somebody knows, but it's not that big of a deal. But it's like, yeah, you need the work experience, and probably even more importantly, even before you get the clothes, did you do an internship? In whatever fields you were looking to do? Did you read books about it? And so, Malkuth, toxification, and also the conscious mind, the overland, or the overworld I called it last night, right? This sort of place. And I take the conscious overworld place. It's just, we're such a grain of salt now. I, I just find it so fascinating, and I'm so in awe. Just in the, not in awe of like, oh wow, look at that volcano. Oh wow, look at that amazing waterfall. I'm in awe like the other way sometimes, where it's like, allegedly this happens, you know? I mean, that's why I take it with a grain of salt. Just because I saw some shit on a screen, I don't know. I take all that shit with a grain of salt. So you know, and as an experimenter, I will decide what is truth based on my insights and my study and experimentation, and what is just like, I don't know what that is, but it's not what it seems, you know? So in studying people who I locked in cages, in studying people, no. But seriously, I just really am, really getting to new insights on myself in terms of just the experiment that is me and the elements that are going on, especially the elements that maybe I wasn't aware of, a few years ago when situations were happening. And I'm like, this is an interesting situation I'm in. And now, let's say it's 2022. Let me think. Going back to, I would say, 2012. So that's 10 years. I've looked back on certain patterns of relationships. And man. Woo child. It's a woo child. Because then, sometimes when you're putting a puzzle together, it's like, until you get like those pockets of like where you get like, oh, this is this part of the puzzle, then it's like you can start looking for the similar pieces, got to see when they fit in, right? That's how I feel about this, where I got like a piece recently that helped me kind of look at the whole puzzle, at least in this area of my existence. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. And the more I kind of like backtracked and kind of looked at these other situations, I was like, yep, all the boxes checked. Yep, similar things happened in those experiments. Okay, I see. And then I started to like looking at, all right, putting those people aside, let's look at the elements of me that brought forth this situation, because it wouldn't have happened if there wasn't something in me that attracted or magnetized it. So now I'm doing that. Now I'm like, now I'm like skeptical, mindful maybe is a better word. I mean, I guess this is the problem. I should have always been mindful in this realm, but I'm mindful of who I'm attracted to. I'm mindful of also who I'm like, oh no, not that person, and that tells me a lot. So I'm like, shit, some hot welder, like just like, oh, just a welder, and that's all you do, that's all you know. You're not even trying to be something you're not. Just like, well, where's she at? Like a cute, just really dark chocolate, petite welder woman who's just cool as fuck, chill as fuck. She welds during the day and, comes home and we watch fucking Netflix and I grab her butt. Where's she at? Because, she's wearing welding gear. She's not trying to be a fucking well, I guess a welder could be working auto mechanics. She's wearing a welding gear and a welding outfit, but she only wants to be a welder. That's it. I don't know why this sounds like a rock ballad. She only wants to be a welder. She only wants to be a welder. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I saw her. She was leaving the foundry. No, I don't think. No, foundry is like where they pour molten metals. Where do welders work? Where it's like the welder, like a firemen are at the fire station. People molten metals, they're at the foundry. seamstress are at the tailor shop, I guess. Welders, the weldatorium. There, near wherever one of my friends lives, he like lives across from like these like city, recreational fields and buildings. And there's one that's called natatorium, and apparently natatorium means like swimming complex. And I was like, I've never heard of that before. And also, it just sounds like a place where people are birthed. Natatorium. That does not sound like, no. Aquatic complex. What's wrong with that? Like, natatorium. We need to use that. Probably so many people are like, I don't know. Pull up and just are like, I don't know if this is the right place. This is natatorium. This is a birthing arena? Like, what is this? What's happening? Is this a birthing arena? Aretha? A birthing Aretha Franklin. Exactly. Anyways, right, Best? This nigga knows what's up. Best knows what's up. That's my nigga. Apparently, which I feel like I'm pretty sure I came across. See, that was the insecurity and doubting myself. I know for a fact I came across another Egyptian deity that is facing forward. I don't know. I don't remember who it was because I don't know. When I looked up this nigga, it was like, oh, he's the only one who's, usually it's the side profile, that sort of thing. With the Egyptian, the Kemetic deities, and like he's the only one where he's like facing you. But yeah, there was another one I saw. I was like, oh, lies. Who wrote this? But but mostly it's like 99.9% of them are facing, profile. So I get it. Anywho, back to the topic at hand. So just understand the elements of yourself, because this is where we're going with this. You put yourself under fucking mind control, people. Especially the further you get from being young and you gain years. You put yourself under mind control. And, like I took Brother Pan's class recently. And, when he was talking about this, he's like, yo, who's the first, people often, love talking about the white man as the, doing all this mind control. This they. That's one thing I can't stand hearing now. They. You know what they did? Who is this they? Are we just using the gender pronoun? It's like we're just using it for like that's just also funny to me where it's like they, that's like, oh, I'm a they. You know what I'm saying? Are they a they? These are the questions I ask, folks. These are the questions I ask. So, anywho's, when I hear people saying they all the time, like, who's they? You. It's no they. There's no fucking they. You're creating a they, but even if there is a they, let's say there is a they, because, all things exist, right? There's a they. Okay. You sound disempowered the more you say they, I am the happiest I've been in my life because I tune out all that shit about they. They are doing this. They are doing that. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Because they're doing something. Okay, great. But what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you just thinking about what they're doing? Because that seems like they really got your mind controlled. That's like, man. And that's the funny thing, like in Amos Wilson's book, he talks about coercion. Like he talks about different types of power, right? Blueprint for Black Power, right? He talks about different types of power, right? And he talks about coercion is the best type of power because it's like you don't know you're being coerced, right? If you just like round niggas up and like, put a gun to them like, yo, do this shit. After a while, that can only work because they'll resent you, they'll revolt, right? But it's like if it's set up where they're being coerced into doing some shit where it's like the hands are off, like maybe, this is why the danger of systems, right? Also benefit of systems, but here's where systems can become problematic and toxic because they can set up a reality. They set up a reality, and then it's like, whoa, hey, we 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 didn't do that. I mean, we did set up the system, but we're not like directly causing these outcomes. But it's like they set up that system, and they obviously anticipated those outcomes. And this is the game. This is the game, folks. So, we mind control ourselves in addition to being mind control outside of ourselves. But the point I was going to make from the Brother Pan class is that he's like, yo, your mother is like your first mind controller, right? Like the white man, like, nah, nigga, because he made this thing. It's like, and also people talk about the church mind control and that sort of thing, right? Which is true, but it's again, this is the point he makes. If your mom didn't give a fuck about church, you wouldn't have gone to church or cared about church. He talks about growing up in a non-church caring family, and so like it wasn't an issue for him to like being like, oh, religion, okay, anyways, to kind of not be under its spell, I guess you could say. So so after your mom and the mind control for your mom, and obviously your dad, but your mom, because like you came from your mom, so it's like, when you come from someone's body, you kind of, listen to them a little more intently than it's just like some nigga. So, it's like, and that's the sort of thing about like, yo, your mother is like my aunt. Like, as far as you're concerned, like cosmic mother, no, yeah, my mom is, your mother is your cosmic mother, as far as you're like concerned. That's why it's like, an issue with that relationship is only going to cause issues in terms of yourself and your relationships. Any parental relationship issues are going to cause issues in terms of your root chakra, which is, we'll get into feeling control in a little bit. It's only going to cause issues in your chakras and your mind and your heart. So we need to identify these elements that are inside of us and how they create essentially how they manifest experiments that we don't necessarily want to deal with. But even still, useful information can be gathered, right? And that's the thing. It's like, man, you just got to be a scientist out here, folks. You got to be a scientist. You got to study what happens to you. You got to study how you feel about shit. You have to study what you're into, what repulses you. You know what I'm saying? Because then you can start understanding more about just the holistic view of your consciousness and heart. Just like I was saying the thing about waffles earlier. If you want to, it's like, yo, I just love painting waffles. Like, not actually, that's funny, not actually painting them, but like the visual of a waffle. But maybe painting waffles, maybe cooking waffles, cutting them standing up, and then painting on them, and then putting them on a canvas. I'm so far beyond in terms of judgment, in terms of what people do. And even this, like now, when sharp judgments come up, let's just say, in my existence, and I'm like, this fucking whatever, whatever's going on, and has me all crumpled in my mind, about it. It's like, well, what is it about that has me all bothered and all aggressive in my mind? It's like, what's going on? Like, I've been taking the bus a lot recently, and like, inherently, if you've been on the bus before, like buses, there's always, man, it's like Vegas on a bus. I don't know. It's just funny to me. I just observe these things, but certain things like bother me that people do more than others, and I've been really just trying to probe, like, well, why are you bothered by that? What is about that situation that really bothers you? It's something that, I'm going to lose sleep over if I don't understand why that woman on the bus bothered me. But I'm sure the more I reflected upon it, it would probably lead to more and more interesting insights in terms of where I'm at. What am I still holding on to? And that was the other thing I was going to say about, okay, so Malkuth, land otoxification, right? To go back to this real quick, land otoxification, and also land of wants and desires, which leads to the toxification. It can't, right? If you don't have a balanced handle on it, And this is the balanced handle. Kether, or us aligning ourselves with Kether, or returning to Kether, or climbing the tree of life, however you want to phrase that shit, that is about detoxification, which is letting go. Letting go and detoxification, I feel, are essentially synonymous in my mind now, right? And this is through the subconscious mind, which is the underworld, right? Which is the darkness, right? And this is the thing about letting go, right? If we've gained all these toxins and we're like, oh yeah, I took on a lot of toxins, right? And we get used to all those toxins we've just taken on, manifested, and they're part of us now. And maybe we're aware of a lot of them, but maybe there's also ones we're not aware of. But now we're in this kind of place where we're comfortable with our toxins, which, man, talk about toxic. You don't want to be comfortable with your toxin, folks. That's not a good place to be. But that's a place we often find ourselves, because then the letting go, the detoxification, right? Not necessarily always feels good, especially how much you steeped yourself. Notice the word steeped, right? Or simmered yourself. You steeped or simmered yourself in your toxification, how it's compounded in your body. So then it's like you detox that, right? It doesn't have to be physical detox. It's going to be mental, emotional detox. And ideally, preferably, it's all three at once, because that's what it really needs to be, all three at once. And, I feel like this really leads to more of like the spiritual lane opens up more for oneself, is just kind of detoxifying and letting go, which again, I am just, at this point, they're just synonymous in my mind, right? Letting go mentally and emotionally is another way of saying detoxifying mentally and emotionally, right? And this isn't just a one-time thing you did when you're 28 between semesters at Alameda State. It's, something you do a few times a year, right? Like, you do like, oh, we got to do our spring mental, emotional, physical cleaning, and also our winter version of that. It's a recurring theme, just like, you don't clean your car once, you never clean it again. Do you clean your house or apartment once and never clean it again? Maybe some of y'all nasty niggas, but if you out here living with divine flyness, then you regularly clean your spaces, because it feels good and just better energy. Like, right? Let's get together, folks. So the Kether energy is letting go and detoxification, and going into the underworld, which is fears, your toxins, your parasites, and doing the work to clear that out, and the clarity that comes with this, like, and not having done a video in a while, and just how I feel now mentally and emotionally, again, off of recent experiences and experiments related to people, and also just like, eating pretty well the past few weeks, and also more recently starting this fruit feast challenge where I'm only eating fruit and drinking water. It just feels really good doing this video. Like, I feel like this is the best I felt doing a video. I would say it like that. Because, even if I've lost a train of thought, I've gone back to it. And it just feels like it's flowing. I don't really feel, I don't know, anxious about it or anything. I don't know. It's very interesting, and I'm just noticing it as it happens. So, but yeah, this is the experiment. It's being aware of what you do, and then what are the results? Cause and effect. Oh, what did I do? I did this. How did I feel after it? What did I think? What happened? What, what occurred? What went down? And this is the experiment. So yeah, so the detox and working on your subconscious mind is just, those are my personal marching orders, put it that way, in terms of my spiritual and occult path. If I'm working in those areas, all will be well. It was going to be well anyways, but definitely if I'm working on those areas, and that's just like, not something like, oh yeah, I forgot about my detoxification and subconscious mind this month. No, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That'd be like, oh, I forgot my keys to get into work. Like, no, how would I? No, that's not it. So the mind control. So we have all this mind control related to our just story, right? We tell ourselves this fucking story. We keep telling ourselves the story. We keep repeating it. We keep telling it to other people. This happened, 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 this happened. We keep repeating this story. We're putting ourselves under a spell. We're hypnotizing ourselves. And this could be out loud, but mostly it's up in our minds, right? When something happens, we're like, oh, here's that shit again. Oh, exactly. Like it always happens. That's further hypnotizing ourselves. That's further putting us to a spell. That's further putting us under our own self-mind control. And there's something I say, mind control is the goal, but it's like your positive mind control, not positive, mind control that works for you, right? Not mind control that manifests bullshit. And there's a lot of mind control that manifests bullshit. And I don't want to be a part of that or engage in that within my own life and with people around me. That's why it's like because at the end of the day, here's what it is, folks. At least for me, I know the further I bring myself out of my own mind control, right? The further I detoxify my mind and, set up a better, more healing consciousness, right? That's, through my subconscious mind, through the underworld. The more, when I interact with the experiment that's outside of me, it has to improve. That's the only way it could exist. Right? If your heart and mind and your physical body and all those sorts of areas improve, the external reality has to align because your internal reality has changed, in significant ways or mild ways. So I think that's the funny thing. It's just that we get caught up in terms of how things come, right? Not the work experience to manifest things coming to us. And when I say things coming to us, I mean internal things, right? Insights, revelations, information that is important for our experiment. And until, what I'm saying? Like, look at it like this. If there was a scientist, right? And this is usually considered terrible, being a terrible scientist, right? You're cherry picking. If there's certain data, right? Like there's other studies related to your study. And then when you do your study, you're like, oh yeah, and these studies, and you pick the ones that support your study. You're like, oh yeah, and these studies, like they also prove that elderberry is good for colds, But it's like, yo, you're fucking paid for by the elderberry, the elderberry conglomerate. Elderberry conglomerate. Yeah, you're getting big elderberry conglomerate money, so it's like, of course your shit is biased. You're trying to promote the shit out of elderberry. And so, elderberry conglomerate. Oh man, all this talk about waffles and elderberry has me hungry for something that's not fruit. Because I have this elderberry syrup, and once I was sick, but I wanted pancakes. I know, so silly. I was like, oh, well, maybe I can get like a healthier syrup. And actually, I went, I guess it was Whole Foods, and they had an elderberry syrup. I mean, elderberry usually is a syrup. That's what's funny. But this was like more syrup than it was elderberry syrup, which is like the healing version of that. And yeah, it was good, and I felt like I was doing something for my body. I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm having pancakes, which my body's like, oh, what the fuck? I gotta deal with all this butter and wheat. But yeah, hey, I threw in some elderberry syrup, so I don't know why my body, was seriously, gravely ill for 3 years. After that, no, it was fine. I was fine. But, it was just a funny moment. I'm like, yeah, I'll just get elderberry syrup. That'll negate the pancakes. Sure. It wasn't even like I had like a crepe or like just one waffle. It was like a whole stack of pancakes from a diner. Oh, man. Life is funny. There's nothing against pancakes, but at that point in time, feeling sick, the last time, there's never really a good time one should have pancakes, frankly. It's not like, oh, yeah, my doctor said, today is a really good day for you to have pancakes. So just want to let you know, it would be a really, it would be a good day to eat pancakes, And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went to the diner and ate pancakes. And he was right. It was a really good day to eat pancakes. So, every November 3rd, I eat pancakes. It's my doctor pancake day. You know what I'm saying? Just holding it down. So, anyways. Dr. Pancakes is my new mixtape. Dr. Pancakes. Dr. Pancakes. So, you're under your own mind control, people. And in addition to that, drum roll please, you're under your own feeling control. That's the chakra work. And, again, shout out to Brother Panic's class, because he'd mentioned about the points of chakra work, and I'd heard that numerous times in his videos, and he's made a point of it numerous times. But just suddenly hearing about it in his class, just the way he kind of explained it, because he kind of explained it in this sort of way that it's like mind control, right? Your thoughts and how your thoughts are flowing and working and grooving or not grooving and being fucked up or not, and problematic and toxic. And feeling control, because you have feelings and you have thoughts about your feelings, and you have more thoughts, and then you feel something about your thoughts, and you keep ping-ponging back and forth just on bullshit. Just keep ping-ponging back and forth in your mind, in your heart, in your beinghood, just about toxic bullshit that you're just regurgitating. And just imagine this: you're vomiting, and then you're swallowing your vomit, and then you're swallowing your vomit again. That is what's happening. Think about that next time you get into a pattern of just ruminating on something, just keep thinking about something. That's what you're fucking doing. You need to take a fucking breath and calm the fuck down and recognize what's happening, right? Just, and I can't tell you what's happening to you. I know when I'm doing it, I can tell what's happening to me based on my experience and my study of myself, my study of my own experiment. I know what's going on now. I can be like, oh, that's because, oh, okay. And it is what it is. You got to figure out your experiment. No one can give you the keys in that. You got to figure that shit out yourself. And I think that's the hardest thing about, like, being someone who, like, gets up here and talks some spiritual shit, talks some occult shit, right? Or anything, right? Any sort of advice. Because whatever the person is saying, that person has to internalize it in their own way, right? Whether it's a master class about acting, whether it's someone teaching you how to paint, whether it's any sort of thing that someone can expose themselves to and begin doing, they have to do it in their own way. They have to internalize and experiment in their own way, and then they make it their own, there's no other way around it. Or you're just being a copycat. No one likes a fucking copycat. Who likes a copycat? I don't like a copycat. Copycats can suck my divine dick. Oh, by the way, Divine Dick, they're on tour this summer with the Impossible Nobodies and the regurgitating, ruminating thought fuckers. So I don't get any money to be paid to promote those wonderful acts. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to get a sponsorship with them, but you know how Hollywood is. You know what I'm saying? It's just, oh man, you know how Hollywood is. Niggas be out of here. Oh man. But anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to drop that. I believe October 13th at the Palisades Theater. Yeah, they're gonna be out there, especially regurgitating rumination. Because I hear like since COVID's kind of like not as a thing, like they do this thing where like they regurgitate on themselves and then they swallow it while they're performing, and it's as disgusting as it is. It's like, wow, they're like that guy who like shit on stage. What was that guy? Oh man, he was wild. He would fight people in the audience. What was his name? He was just a maniac. He was like, man, he was punk, man. If there ever was a guy who was super punk, it was this dude. What was his name? Ginger? Not Ginger Baker. That's the drummer for the fucking Cream. What was the guy? Ginger O'Neill? I don't know. But he was wild. Too bad I've disabled comments, so people can't comment. But if you really want to tell me, find me on Instagram and message me and tell me. And I would love that. I would really appreciate that. Something Allen. Something with an Allen. Ginger Allen. That may be it. Ginger Allen. Anyways, people. So feeling control. We got into feeling control. And that interplays with our mind control. In addition to see, here's the fucked up thing. You're under... Y'all... Oh, man. Whew. It's good to be back on the saddle. You know what I'm saying? I haven't done videos in a while, but it feels good to be back. Again, this is the best I felt doing a video. Because it's like I'm really letting go of a lot of shit. And it's small work, but it's, what's that meme? And it's like, it's not much, but it's honest work. That guy, the fucking fat farmer. Oh man, that's how I feel about the occult and spiritual work. It's not much, but it's an honest day's living. Because at this point, what else am I gonna do? So anyways, so yeah, not only under your mind control from parents. I'm gonna make y'all see fingers. Parental mind control, teacher mind control, and just authority figure mind control, relationship mind control, government mind control, just broadly family mind control. Do I need to do more? Corporate mind control. 6 is good. So think about all those mind controls too that interplay with your personal mind control and your personal feeling control. Oh yeah, so it's 12 because all those have a feeling control component as well. It's not just your thoughts related to, connected to, inspired by, triggered by those entities, those 6 entities, but also how you feel about them, right? Where it's like, this is the thing where it's like, someone could be, bringing up a lot of toxicity in your life. And it's like, you got to ask yourself a few questions. You got to ask yourself, 1, what's happening with my experiments that this is bubbling up? And 2, the interplay of their experiments and their existence. What's going on here? What's happening? What's the dilly yo? And, understanding are you under their mind control? Are you under feeling control? Not even that it's like you're under their mind control. Like, let's even just take the fucking ownership aspect of it. Are you under mind control in this situation? Are you under mind control in this experiment, in this experience when you're relating to this person? Right? Or what's going on? How do you, if someone, this is a good analogy that someone once told me their therapist told them about, if treat people like it is what was it? A potluck party. Did they bring something to your potluck party? Now, this is very human and conventional way of looking at it, but there is something to that. And it doesn't mean even they need to bring something to eat. Maybe they brought a game to do. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's like that's what they choose to bring. So it's not even that it's like, did they bring a dish? But it's like, are they bringing something, right? Are they offering something to the situation? Or are they just like, again, put it another way. If you're going to a potluck party, you're bringing some sort of experiments that you did, right? Let's just use food as like, a good example of this. But even you could say a game, you're bringing experiments, right? When you play that game with people, it'll be a certain thing that'll occur. And, ideally all fun and positive, but hey, it could devolve into terror from that simple Uno game. Who the fuck knows? And it's like, ask yourself like, well, damn. Well, niggas was like that the whole time, and all it took was Uno to bring that out. Like, we don't need to come to these potlucks anymore, So you gotta just look at, the experiments and experiences, which I find it interesting that they're very close words to each other. Experience and experiments. And so you got to just really look at that shit about what is happening, what's going on, and, really understand your mind control and really understand your feeling control. And something that really helped me kind of understand this recently was a book about dark psychology, which kind of gets into lots of things about emotional manipulation. And I started really looking at what people would say to me, right, especially in my job, interact with a lot of people, right? And, I'd be like, it's kind of an emotional manipulation what this person is saying to me. Not even like what they're, like how they're saying it. Because there's a way to say something, right? Right, the easy example is like, oh, life's been hard since mama left. Something like that. Where, this could be true. But it's like, why are you sharing that with that person in that moment at that time, right? And these things could be very unconscious sort of reactive things about like, this is how this person deals with their reality, right? They just put things out there to garner sympathy, right? To be like, oh, right? There's nothing wrong with empathy. There's nothing wrong with compassion. But there's something Shogim also talks about, which is idiot compassion. I don't want to enable your, like, garnering of kind of like sympathetic attention is the way I would put it. And, it's just something, you see how I'm like, yeah, because it's just something that I've experienced in many different forms, and that's something that I will say I've manifested and attracted in my life, and maybe it was only for the purpose for me to understand it and gain insights from it, and then move on, hopefully. But I had to make that determination. I think there is something going on in my subconscious that leads to these situations about how I perceive certain things and how I, my wants and desires again, the toxification. This is a perfect example. Wants and desires leads to a certain type of toxification, and this is where it's, I think it's clarifying and unpacking wants and desires leads to I don't want to say pure in terms of like, in the moralistic sense, because fuck all that shit. when I say pure, I mean the most aligned with your best interest sort of thing. Like, that's what I mean with purity, where it's like you've heard your inner voice the loudest you could hear it in that moment. It doesn't mean you can't hear it louder. That requires you, right? It's like a mixing board, right? All the bullshit, that shit can just always be at fucking 10. But, you know, our inner voice, let's say it can only get to 4. That's loud, right? That's like it's screaming at you. But it's like, just, hey, oh, what's up? Hey, what's up, Posh? Oh, yeah, so I was thinking about this and that, and, you know what I'm saying, your divinity and blah, 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 you know. It could be very, you know, just chill, right? But it's not going to yell over ego and bullshit and drama and that sort of thing. It'll wait. It'll wait till you turn that shit down. And that's the detoxification. That's turning all that shit down, turning that shit off, unplugging it. We don't even use those inputs anymore, right? We don't even, what inputs? We only have our intuitive inner voice inputs going. And then maybe we'll add some other inputs, but let's just worry about this one channel. How about that channel on the mixer, right? And as above, so below, right? You just gotta unplug that shit. Just fucking, we're done. We're done. Shut things all the way down. Knobs always all the way turned to the left. Shit's off, unplugged, put away in the closet. We're focusing on the inner voice channel, because that's it. That is it. That is it. What else could it be? What else could it ever be besides your inner voice? And not the bullshit inner voice. That's why it's like, yo, you got to know your inner voice. Like, people don't know their inner voice. That's when it's like, so when shit comes up in their minds and it's all this problematic shit and they think that's their inner voice. No. Inner voice wouldn't say that shit. That nigga's on your side. It's going to be saying all this problematic shit. Be like, yeah, you are a piece of shit. Like, no, that's your ego, right? And you're under feeling control because it's like you're used to feeling that sort of way. So anything that reinforces feeling that sort of way, you're going to be like, oh, yeah. But anything that's like, nah, this other shit, like, get your shit together, like, keep working on yourself, keep probing yourself, you know, don't be so whatever, right? That's not a comfortable message, basically. And just because something's comfortable doesn't mean it's like you like it, right? Comfortable can mean just like you're used to it, right? That's why it's like the fucked up thing about thoughts is like you have enough fucked up thoughts and fucked up feelings about those thoughts and more thoughts about those feelings and more feelings about those thoughts. You just keep that going, and it's like that's what you're used to. So it's like you have like a divine intuitive thought. It's like, what? Get the fuck out of here, that fucking divine intuitive fucking grace bullshit, right? You just immediately reject it because it's like that's not where you're used to. So it's like a virus. It's a virus in your system that it's like, no, we're rejecting that. That's not it. We're out of here, you know? But it's because you're not used to it, because you're used to the toxicity, right? Getting used to toxicity in your mind and heart and body, that's a thing, right? You get used to feeling bloated, right? And that's a fucked up thing I've thought about myself, especially with my eating habits, where it's like when I like eat really healthy and like I'm like, this is how I feel after a meal? Like, I'm just confused, because it's like so many times I've just felt so bloated and so like almost immovable from just eating a whole bunch of shit that's like that becomes the norm. And like feeling like, oh, I could like go like fucking run 4 miles right now, like I feel great after eating that whole meal. It's just like, whoa, just like it's gotta learn, like, what's this shit, a new norm, right? They love saying that shit during fucking 2020. Well, this is the new norm, but that is some shit, and that becomes uncomfortable. It's funny that, especially with like eating and like just eating shitty things and not having your body in a certain great alignment, you know, that can be uncomfortable as your body deals with it. But over time, it becomes comfortable because you're used to it. And then it becomes uncomfortable again because then you start getting fucking diseases from it. And really, all this shit is in our minds. As much as like eating and overeating and not eating quote unquote healthy food, you know, whatever, it starts in our mind because that starts the process where, you know, it's like we don't automatically just eat, right? There's nothing about eating that's really automatic per se, but we will often just kind of like unconsciously eat. And that's a huge thing with me that I noticed too, where it's like, especially just eating fruit now, it's like it's easier to like consciously and mindfully eat something, you know, because I've never wolfed down fruit before. I've never like, you know, there's certain things that are hard to eat fast, like salads. Sometimes I've definitely put the pedal to metal on some salads in my life, but only because I was really hungry at that moment. And I was like, oh, I don't fucking care about eating a salad fast. Like, I just didn't give a shit because it's like, I'm eating a salad. Like, if I was going to eat one thing fast in my life and not give a shit about it, it'd be a fucking salad. And I don't. So I will eat a salad fast. But fruit, it's like, eating fruit fast is like, I don't know, like hurts. Like my body's like, what are you doing? Why are you eating that apple so quickly? Just relax. It's just, you know? And, oh man, just, I don't know what's going on with all that one, folks, but bring it back around. Let's bring it home because actually I am tired. And I think an hour and whatever is long enough on this. So the mind control and feeling control is in your own mind and it's in your own body. And how you feel and think about all this is just critical to your kind of like experience, I guess you could say. So I don't know. What else do I need to say? There's not much else I need to say. I pretty much laid it out in that thing. You know, and the feeling control, I'll just go a little bit more about feeling control. So that's the chakra work. You know, the past couple months, since I took Brother Pan's class, I was like, oh, okay, I need to rededicate myself to chakra work. I had started it because I heard, you know, him talk about it. I was like, oh, yeah, chakra work. But I really didn't, you know, really delve in. And now I've delved in, you know, because obviously it's been a couple years since, you know, I'd done prior work and just, I was like, okay, one, I was going too fast. Like I had moved on to another chakra. No. Like we're going to be on root chakra for a while. And I realized I had to do I'm just not even ready yet because I'm still just doing root chakra shit on myself and just having lots of insights related to that. So it's like, I don't even know I'm going to do a video on that. When I move on to the next chakra, that's when I'll do the video. And I'm giving myself no timetable where I'm like, oh, okay. Like by November 3rd again, same date as the, what was it? Regurgitation, Ruination, and Impossible Nobodies. And also I forget who else was on that bill, but you know, it was a great show, or it's going to be a great show. So, you know, I'm not giving myself a specific date of like, yo, this is when I'll move on to the sacral chakra, because the more I really process about the body, Malkuth, foundation, root chakra, Muladhara, all that sort of things, the more I unpack it, the more it's like, it's really the most important one, you know? And that's why it's like sort of the irony, and like another irony of this place, this existence, this fucking experience, is that we're not experiencing Kether right now in terms of our reality. We're experiencing Malkuth, right? So understanding as much of Malkuth as possible is only going to further us with our alignment with Kether, I guess you could say. You know, in the sense that, you know, where am I going with this? You know, this is where we are now. This is where the experiment is happening. Here's how I thought about it recently. The experiments, right, where our body, our mind, all this sort of shit, all our bodies, our astral bodies, our yogic bodies, our fucking bodies, our fucking booty bodies, our fucking slut bodies, our fucking nacho bodies, our fucking occult bodies, all our fucking bodies, right? You know, they're grounded in Malkuth, on Mother Earth, on Gaia, in this certain plane, certain dimension, right? We're multidimensional, right? But it's like our consciousness is currently tuned here, right? At least kind of, this is where it gets just weird, and just, you have your own way of looking at this, but I'm just saying mine, right? So anyway, this is where we are. I wish I had a tree of life. That's why I got to get some like slides and shit, so I can just pop in some tree of lives and shit. But we're at the bottom, right? And I think, and I know, and I'm experimenting in, it's about climbing up the tree of life. And this is climbing up our chakras, right? Shakti reuniting with Shiva, right? Shakti is in the bottom of our spine in our root chakra. And our work is getting back to Keter, getting back to the crown where Shiva is, right? But this requires going through our feelings, going through these different worlds, going through these different portals, experiencing what's there, understanding and learning what's there, right, as it applies to our path. So, the more I process about my root chakra, man, that's just been just so insightful in terms of like, god damn. Some shit I thought I did because it was just like, oh, I just do that shit. And I was like, no, that was a root chakra imbalance, buddy. The more I kind of looked at my actual behavior and how I behave in situations, and I'm like, yeah, that seems root chakra related, And, it's the foundation. So it's like focusing a lot of, not even time, but effort and energy into healing and working on and, creating the best root chakra foundation is in my best interest, because that's only going to support my chakras beyond that, And if my root chakra is wonky, then all the other chakras are going to be wonky, because what are they resting on? Where's the foundation? Where's the roots? Bad seed tree creates bad seed fruit, So if that root is rotten, what do you think is going on with that throat chakra? At the very least, it's going to be influenced by the rotten root, which is also, rotten root is also on tour. I'm going to send my friend all these names, because we always talk about band names, and I'm going to send her these. I don't want to forget. What? Sorry, I got things going on here. Okay, what was it? Rotten, root, impossible, nobodies. What was the main one? Possible nobodies. And what was the other one that was on tour with them? Oh, regurgitation, rumination, Anyways, regurgitation, rumination. I don't know where I was going with that. Well, we're still talking about feeling control, all that sort of shit. So, anyways, the point I'm making is, what is the point I'm making? It's about regurgitation, rumination, and their comeback tour. After the original lead singer guitarist left, it just, man, I don't know. Just didn't quite have that same pizzazz. Anyways. So, regurgitation, rumination. Great, right? feeling control, chakras, kundalini, Shakti and Shiva. Let's jump in at, you gotta do chakra work. So I've been doing root chakra work, and it's been very insightful, and has led to many insights about just behaviors I've reinforced, thoughts I've reinforced, feelings I've reinforced, how I've looked at these thoughts and feelings, and just all the sort of cycles related to my root chakra. And it's really taught me a lot, and I've really gained a lot of interesting things from it. And, kind of bring it all home with this sort of thing. I've really started to see related to things connected to my root chakra, places where I was mind controlling and feeling controlling myself in terms of kind of keeping my root chakra destabilized by my own energy and nothing else, right? Maybe there was some fodder, maybe there was some kindling, right? But lots of things can be used for kindling, or it could be just a piece of paper that says something on it, right? Or it could use to help get a fire going, So I mean, listen, again, this is Malkuth, folks. This is Saturn. This is fucking human existence, right? Are you just staying there? Are you transcending that? But just basically, it's the humanity about just keeping yourself under your own mind control and own feeling control as a, just as a, you never move off Malkuth. You don't even try to go to Yesod. Kether. Oh, fucking forget about Kether. You're just so steeped in Malkuth that's all you can think about. And that's, again, you're keeping that regurgitation cycle going by, it's like, yo, Malkuth, Malkuth, yo, Malkuth, Malkuth, Malkuth. Nigga Kether. Nigga crown. But no Malkuth. You gotta know Malkuth to help you get to Kether. Right? And you gotta go through all the other ones, leading to Kether. But you gotta know Malkuth. It's like you can't get out of Malkuth until you know Malkuth. But it's like you can just regurgitate and recycle a whole bunch of shit that'll keep you in Malkuth, and you could do that too. That's what a lot of people do. And, just gotta find your path, nigga. Just gotta find your path. And for me, it's occult science and spirituality. Because it's really one of the few things I've kind of engrossed myself with, where it's like, oh, this makes sense. Like, why wasn't I doing this earlier? It really made sense. Because it's like, over the years, through many, many different layers and peeling back many, many layers of myself, I've really dealt with a lot of external mind control, right? In terms of authority figures, governments, politicians, corporations, all that sort of stuff. At the very least, I'm aware it's there in various forms, right? But a lot of it I've dealt with. And now, the least I can look at it is like just very quizzical. Like, that's an interesting thing they just said. That seems like an emotional manipulation for me to get to buy dish soap. Okay, they did that, As a scientist, I take notes. But as a human, it annoys me. But as a scientist, I take notes. And, it's like, well, why are you exposing yourself to those things? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was watching a Mets game through YouTube TV. Like, I did, like, they were playing the Yankees. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do a 3-day trial and cancel because I'm not paying $54. Hey, eventually, for the playoffs, I would do that, sure. But I need to find like a coupon or something. 54? I know it's for the year. Maybe it's for the month. If it's for the month, that's wild. For the year, okay. For the month, that's why I need a coupon. So if anybody has a coupon for YouTube TV for the year, can we get that down to like $26 a year? I'd fuck with that in a heartbeat. Anyways, I was watching it, and like, I don't know the last time I watched actual TV. Like, not like I just found some shit online or some streaming shit I had. Like, actual TV. And I was like, oh, commercials. I was just like, well, bro, you're watching like TV. This is the part of the game, you know. If you wanted to see this, that's why I usually like, you know, let the shit load, you know, and then, you know, do some shit, and then, you know, just get that nice buffer. That's like always the thing about like, you know, TiVo. Get a nice buffer. Like if you're trying to watch it live, you don't start the thing until like, I don't know if it starts at 7. Maybe you start at 7:45, 8 o'clock. So you got a nice commercial buffer. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you have some time where you can just fast forward and you won't outpace the live game. You know, and especially if like, you know, you're always like doing shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always going out and smoking and, you know, coming back. You know, so, you know, I'm not someone to leave it on. I don't want to miss the thing. I'm not gonna leave it on. You know. So yeah, so I just I always just buffer it up, but yeah, it's like, well, you're in the domain of TV commercials, so you either just are indifferent to them, or you can make a big stink about it in your mind and be like, oh, these dumb commercials, or you can be like, oh wow, these are great commercials, or you can just like not care about them. You know, this thing about like getting your mind to a place where it's like both doors are open. I've heard this about like your mind. It's like it's like a house. You just open all the doors, right? And sometimes all sorts of guests come in, but it's a certain guest you don't serve tea, and that's it. There's a certain guest you don't serve tea, right? But you know, just people blow in, blow out, and just not even sometimes just like listening to them, right? And then they'll blow out of there, right? It's like you don't need to enter a whole discussion, a whole conversation with them as they blow in and blow out. I think this is a telling sign of how your mind is, right? Where it's like just something could blow in, and it's like, you know, you're like, oh, that's something that happens, and it could be the most absurd thing ever, right? But it's like you don't let that absurdity like grab you and pull you, and you know, you want to create this whole narrative and story, and like, you know, let me tell you what happened with this bitch. Okay, first of all, right, like we turn it into a whole extra thing, right? You know, which, hey, at The Scientist, you can do whatever the fuck you want with the data you receive. Okay, you can do anything you would like, turn that data out, do what you want with it, gain anything you want with it. All I'm saying is, there's only certain type of scientists I'm going to fuck with. And some of y'all aren't scientists because y'all are just reactive, and y'all are actually experimenting on yourself first and foremost, but not even with general reality. Y'all are just reacting to being part of an experiment. And that's the issue. You just become part of an experiment. The more you're under mind control, your own mind control, become your own experiment of just fucking misery and suffering, right? Because you just have yourself under that misery and suffering experiment of mind control and feeling control and just all that sort of shit. And round you go, Negro. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting to hear people on that fucking merry-go-round. It's just really like, I usually just, when I hear someone repeating some shit, especially if some shit where it's just like, this is a goddamn ruination. Like, I hear this shit all the time. I say like, yeah, you've told me that story. Like, you don't need to repeat that story. I remember that story. Okay? Why are you repeating it for the umpteenth time? You know, and this is where it's like, I don't even know how to say this shit to people at this point. I hope one day I can, because it's like, especially if it's like some sort of, you know, story that someone defines themselves with. That's like this is how they identify themselves. This is how they label themselves. It's part of their personality identity complex. You know, you say some shit to them, they could fucking, I don't know, for just whatever, any sort of thing happen. I'm not even trying to deal with that because it's like, how should I put it? You breaking through your own ego and walls is your job, okay? And is not why I came here. I came here to deal with it in my own accord, in my own existence and experience, however that comes up for me. So, you know, I reject that there's, you know, something you could say to someone that'll make them get it, and whatever that getting it is. It's that person, if someone gets something, right, in terms of understanding, it's because their mind is at a place where they've accepted whatever it is. Nothing, nothing else has really happened. They're just more open to whatever. It's like, oh yeah, when it's raining, you should bring an umbrella. No, fuck umbrellas, man. Fuck umbrellas. You know what happened with, don't even talk to me about umbrellas, nigga. No, fuck umbrellas. Fuck umbrella, And then one day they're like, oh, you know what? I kind of get umbrellas now, and just be simple as that. Because there's something that changed them that helped them accept whatever that reality was, whatever that information was. That before that, they were just wanting some fuck umbrellas. Shit. So, just getting caught up in your feeling control is just very detrimental and toxic. And it's just like, again, I'm going to even do y'all even a more disgusting analogy. So next time you're ruminating and regurgitating on your fucking toxicity, I want you to think about this and just not quantify this. Internalize this. Okay, you ready? It's like you have diarrhea and then you're diarrheaing in your own mouth and then you're vomiting that and then you're just, I don't know. But it's like, think about all those cycles. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't process things. I'm not saying don't look at things. I'm not saying, don't reflect, don't ponder. But there's a difference between pondering and reflecting like a scientist and just fucking ruminating on bullshit from your ego, from your trauma, from your just whatever the fuck you got going on. Just like you'll just keep regurgitating it and keep just spinning it round and round, and you'll use it to spin other people round and round, and it just becomes just real gross. And this is my PSA, this video, for that, but just also generally for just dealing with your mind control. Just, hey everybody, just because some nigga on a fucking TV said some shit doesn't mean it even applies to your reality. Doesn't mean you need to fucking even believe that shit. But y'all do. And this is one layer of mind control. Just because I'm saying this fucking shit right now, I don't fucking care what you even think about anything I've said in this video, right? Because this is my experiment, and I'm sharing the insights from my experiment. And I think they are generally applicable to people. And if you are a scientist and you're really trying to study this shit, this experience on Malkuth, you'll get what I'm saying. But if not, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter to me, You'll figure it out. It may take you a few thousand more lives, but hey, you'll get there. I hope so, nigga. But right now, right here, nigga, we're experimenting right now. We're doing it in the moments all the fucking time, every single day. You know what I'm saying? We're doing rituals, we're doing experiments, you know what I'm saying? We're developing ourselves. We're growing spiritually. And that's what it is. And this is a humble brag, if there is such a thing. So, do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt, people. Do what thou wilt. And all I have for you is compassion. That's really, that's my new line. All I have in some instances is compassion. There's nothing else I have, because that ultimately is like in my expansiveness in this avatar called Posh Gibson. In the expansiveness, that's all I am, compassion and love. So if there's a situation that I want to remove myself from, that I need to move past, there will always be a remnants of compassion and love, which that's kind of implied when you say compassion, but there will always be that remnants there, and I say that to anyone who maybe for various reasons, maybe I don't associate with, maybe not even necessarily had a falling out or a fight with them or any sort of issue with them, but hey, I'm definitely on my path. And the further I go on my path, the further I realize that one's own path is one's own path for a reason, right? And I always think of it like this. Everyone's hiking up a certain mountain, and, sometimes we can camp together as we're each hiking. We can come together and meet as a common spot. But after we're done, we come together. Everyone's back on their certain mountain, hiking the way they need to hike and the way they need to figure out their mountain. Because we're on different mountains. The paths are different. The only thing I know is that to summit, right, to transcend, it requires hard work. It requires effort. It requires discipline. It requires mindfulness. It requires just confidence. It requires just so many things, to just keep moving up your mountain, keep hiking up your mountain. I would even say backpacking up your mountain. And not taking the shit for granted, not just being like, I don't feel like hiking this week. Whatever, we're just going to sit down here. Just sit down for a week on the mountain. I mean, I guess, but hey, that's your choice as the scientist, which I hope you are. So, we've done 90 minutes. I think I'm good. I'm hungry for some fruit, nigga. Let's get some fucking fruit. Let's get some fucking fruit. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do after this, because it's like, man, I'll do the 30 days. But, man, I may have to change my shit to Occult fruit stand or something, because I just even looking at that Occult Nachos logo, man, I just want nachos. And even, I'll come back and just fully, I don't need meat on my nachos. I don't even need real cheese. We can do some vegan cheese. You know what I'm saying? Can I find some gluten-free chips? Just like a whole, just wonderful vegan nacho spread, right? With some veggies. And hey, I even put fruit on there too, huh? I think I've done that before. I think I put apples on nachos. I do fuck with apples on nachos. What else would be good on nachos? Pineapple. What else? Pineapple, apples, maybe mangoes. Maybe. What else? Apples, pineapples, oranges. No. What other fruit? Maybe berries, like some smashed berries with some. Oh man, I'm gonna do some experiments. Speaking of which, I'm gonna do some fruit and vegetable nacho experiments. Not anytime soon because I'm doing the fruit feast, but man, I think I love nachos too much to like completely be like, I'm never having nachos again. We're going to figure out the healthiest version of nachos I can make. And if I need to fruit fast and fruit feast for 10 days after having these healthiest versions of nachos, then nigga, that's what I'm going to do. All right. I'm signing off. Mind control, feeling control. Work on your root chakra, people. Work on your fucking own mind control and your ruminating thoughts and blah, 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 blah. There will be some information at the bottom of this thing, some good books to check out. And also, maybe I should do a separate video. But I'm going to start, I've gone so back and forth with this. And I may not do Patreon. We'll see. But I'm going to do some sort of subscription thing with videos I don't post on YouTube. Because it's time. I'm kind of just need to step into the role of people who wears fucking turbans and have locks on videos and has fucking Bess in the background and talks about chakras and chakras and mind control. Also, I'm going to do a video about Dandelion Jones's book, Mind Control 101, which is a very good video. And that's it. But yeah, I'm going to do a Patreon situation. I just need to, or just a membership through some other site where, there was some podcasts I don't have out here on YouTube. There will be some other videos that are not on YouTube, just talking about different occult and spiritual shit. And, also access to some books, some really good books and stuff like that. So, look out for that. I appreciate everyone who subscribed. Shout out to y'all. I got to get my shit together with my store. But any way you can support me doing these videos, because ultimately that's what I'm working towards, just doing videos and also having affirmations and things like that. and making that my full-time thing, because it is important to me to get knowledge and wisdom out there, and insights, just sharing my insights, because that's what's helped me to get to a place where I even feel confident, even feel like I have insights to share, and actually I legitimately do have insights to share. And just again, dealing with root chakra and dealing with fear and dealing with my own fears to really begin to step into that sort of role where I can share what has helped me on this path. So thanks for listening. Remember, deal with your mind control. Be under your own good mind control. Deal with your feeling control. Deal with your chakras. Deal with that root chakra. See what's going on there. And also, don't steal my idea about the fruit and vegetable nachos, or I will sue you. Occult Nachos LLC is a litigious organization, and we will sue the cloak off of you. I get it, because it's like, occult shit, cloak. We will sue your robe, your ritualistic robe off. We'll take everything. We'll take all your crystals. We'll take all your fucking ritual robes. We'll take all your deity statues. Oh, we are litigious niggas. So that fruit and vegetable nachos concept, we've already trademarked it. It is a go. You know what I'm saying? Our lawyers are on it. So y'all think that's just occult shit, but no. Nigga, we are litigious. And I don't know. I was going to rhyme something with litigious. All right. Peace.